Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
Whoa, hey, wait a minute. I was running solo there for a minute.
Did you boot me?
Yeah, man. What's up, everybody? Welcome to KBN Live. We got Ryan on the road, looking dapper, getting ready to go out on the town. Where you at, Ryan?
No, I just got back from on the town. We had a dinner presentation in Nashville, so I had to take some docs out, do a little bit of work. Don't mind me.
I got you. We got a few people on YouTube commenting already. Appreciate y'all over there on YouTube. We got some folks on Facebook, of course. So as you come on here, help us out and share this around. It's going to be a good show tonight. We got several guests. We're going to start off with a friend of the show, AJ Mcwhorter, TD extraordinaire from the Bass Open Series. He's going to talk about Dugout and what they have going with Hobie at the Bassmaster Expo coming up. Then we got Josh and Tyler from the All American Series. They're about ready to let that, I guess, the fourth boot drop with national tournament circuits.
Lots of news tonight.
Yeah, man. So we'll get right into that. But first, let's talk about what went down in the last week, man. What do you got to bring up, Ryan?
Well, we had some interesting conversation going on the page right before we got on here about photos and open mouths and things. Very interesting picture, and some of these, like anybody that's been tournament fishing long enough, you're going to run into these fish that they may have a larger bottom lip or whatever. That's the importance of the fence sticker, is to indicate that you have that fish mashed up against it. But on the judge's side, I mean, you got to look at what's a gap. Like, is the fish pulled back? Is there an actual gap between the lips, or is there some sort of deformity in the fish itself? And I think we've probably seen a couple misses here in the last week or so.
Yeah, I think, we've beat this horse to death about rule standardization. We'll probably never get there. I mean, even the elite series of the bass boats have slightly different rules across, the different series. So we may never get there, but it's wild how subjectivity comes into play with some of the rules and some of the circuits, man.
And it is subjective completely. And that's, a point that we've tried to make on the show a couple times. If, the judge's job is to judge. If you don't like the way they judge, then find somewhere else to fish. But ultimately, you can point things out. And I'm sure there's an official. I know most series there's an appeals process, but if you don't do it up front, like before it happens, like with TVKA, like once the money's handed out, sorry for you, like it's over with. So
yeah, and I don't know, was the one that was brought up on the page, was that from Tourney X or Chaos? Because on Chaos, there's you can challenge as a user, but I'm not familiar with how that exactly
works. I'm not sure. I would assume Tourney X, but I'm not 100% positive. That he fishes Jesse's club, the Coleman Kayak Anglers. I don't know if that's the tournament that particular fish was from, but I think they are Tourney X users.
I got you. Yeah. Well, it's better than it used to be, where we didn't have any way to kind of go back and look with the old SD cards, but there's still a lot of things to iron out, I guess, going forward.
That's the catch-22 of our sport.
Yeah.
Transparency goes both ways. Like you can see everybody's fish, but you can also pick apart the judging. So there's give and take with that, I think.
Yeah, and people don't understand. If you never fished bass on the bass boat side of things and the weight of fish, even that. I mean, how long did you leave them in the tanks? How much water was in the? You know what I mean? There's all kinds of little variables that happen over there too. But we're just trying to get it to be as streamlined as we can here on our side of things. Somebody said that was a KBF monthly pick.
Okay,
There you go. But yeah, anything else to talk about? I know we're going to have Josh and Tyler in here to talk about their first tournament down in Texas. They just had a tournament on that same lake. Almost 100 folks.
So I was confused for some reason in my head. I thought that tournament was the All American, and you were like, "We'll have him on as a preview." And I was thinking, a preview for the tournament that just happened this weekend. Like, let's just Anyway,
yeah, that was.
I'm back on it now. I got it.
I think that was Mr. Deuce Tran. Put that one on down there. The North Texas Championships. The People's Champ actually got off the sideline. Caught him a few fish, I think. Yeah, he was in that one. I saw his name on there.
Top 10 or where?
No, I think he was in the top 20, but there was 100 people in the thing. So, I mean, respectable finish. But I want to get when we get Josh and Tyler, I'm going to ask them because I was looking at that. They had 100 people almost. And I'm looking at this week's tournament on that same lake, and its registration is kind of low, and there's literally like 2 people from Texas signed up. So I don't know if they're just procrastinating or what, but we'll ask them when we get them on.
Are the Texas guys scared of the national events? Is that what you think is happening?
No, I think is there fatigue. I mean, they've gone.
Texas just clapped everybody on Toledo.
Yeah, maybe they're fatigued. I don't know. So we'll ask them what they think. And maybe since there's no real hard deadline early, that they're just wait till last minute. Who knows? Because there's a cold front coming. Who knows what could be happening? But let's stop messing around, man. Let's get AJ in here. Before we do that, always we want to shout out the sponsors: Western Sun Vodka, official drink with KBN. Appreciate y'all. Revo sunglasses, best lenses on earth. We actually wear our Revos in our pictures that we take, right?
Yeah.
I think we've been messing up. I don't know.
It's crazy, man. So it turns out they help you see when it's sunny outside. So spawn's coming. Those fish are moving shallow. Get over to the Revo side and pick you up a pair. Might do yourself a favor.
Yeah, man. KBN 25, save you a little money over there. And then of course, see the hat, see the logo up top, Dugout Bait and Tackle. Title sponsor KBN, we appreciate them, and they're going to have a big deal going on at the Classic. AJ's going to fill us in on a little bit of that here in a second. And somebody mentioned, I wanted to touch on this real quick before AJ comes in, the low registration for the Bassmaster Classic, or the championship. What's up with that? It's only in the 60s right now, and the deadline's in a day or two.
I just talked to Joe McElroy a minute ago, about it, because Joe's fishing the event, and he was talking about the extended weather forecast. I think Bass needs to shift gears a little bit. Like Fork, they did great on coverage with Garrett. I don't think there's any argument at all as far as the media coverage that he received from that. I think now is the time, though. Like, Bass has to shift gears on the kayak side specifically. Like, people want to see that, there is a concerted effort to make a change and make it something great. So I hope that this Classic entry is a wake-up call, that they're like, oh crap, like this may be the downward spiral here, but this is the Classic. Like, this is the event that you expect to see 160, 180 entry. I mean, at least that's what I expect to see at their championship. Like, that's what you are kind of have in your head. And when it's in the 60s, I mean, I think that should be a message to Bass to make a big change and step up front and own the past. It's okay. Like, own the past. Like, we understand the first 2 years didn't go great. Here are the changes we're about to make. We've hired a kayak-oriented person to really run this. We're investing X amount of dollars in it. We're going to have these venues. We're going to have this, prize pot paid out. I think that's how you save it. But what do I know?
Yeah. And you know what? You get a code from them to put your name into Tourney X. So Bass doesn't put you in there. You have to put yourself in there. So if it's kayak angling, maybe there's 50 people that have got their code and just haven't entered their name in there yet. And if that's the case, then that's on you, kayak anglers, because we need your names in there, because the faster the roster builds, the more excited people get to sign up, the more anxious they are to sign up.
There's an entry deadline extension again. Like, we talked about this previously. Like, how many times are you going to extend an entry? Like, you got Hobie selling out in hours. and then you extend things for months. Like, I think everybody needs to get on the same page with this deal.
Yeah. And like I said, it kind of feeds on itself. The Hobie thing's selling out because people see that list growing real quick. Well, if you see 100 people in the Bass Championship, you're a little more inclined to probably sign up because it gets the excitement brewing a little bit. So, kind of all goes together. But anyway, let's get AJ in here. Talk a little bit about what we're gonna have going on at the Classic. Hang on just a second.
Let's go.
There he is. Let me get this fixed. We got a little. There we go. All right, we're good to go now. Before we talk kayak fishing, AJ, got a big matchup coming. We just took care of Tennessee. We got Big Blue Nation coming to Arkansas this weekend.
Shut up.
Yeah, man, we're trying to get our starting point guards healthy for this March run. So we had to take care of Alabama this Saturday without our number 1 and number 2 point guard. But hopefully those guys are healthy. It's just it's going good in the bluegrass right now. Cats are finally looking good after a couple years of not.
It's going to be a battle, man. We're going to drag you down in the mud. That's how Arkansas plays.
Jeff's out here trying to win online championships and shit. Nothing counts to March, Jeff. Sit tight.
That's right. Hey, I know, man. March Madness is on the way. Best sporting event in the world. But,
y'all trying to do one of those court rush things again? We don't do those in Kentucky, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, we won't do that when we beat Kentucky. We only do that when we beat the number 1 team.
Ooh, okay.
It'll be a battle. It'll be a battle, man. Who knows what'll happen? But I'm excited to watch it Saturday. But anyway, on to kayak fishing.
So tell us, AJ, obviously we brought you on here for a reason. What's happening at the Classic? Something kind of unique that hasn't been done before. Tell us about the booth setup, who all's involved with it. I mean, it appears to be a spectacle that's taking shape here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing here is that, like, we, a lot of kayak fishermen or folks looking to get into kayak fishermen or getting into kayak fishing come to the Classic. It's a big boat tournament. It's obviously the biggest boat tournament in fishing, but the convention of it brings folks from all areas, all types of fishermen in together. And what we want to do this year, Hobie and Dugout have a booth together representing Hobie and the rigging that Dugout does at the Classic. And we want people to come and see us. If you've heard about the Dugout, you've heard about some of the things they do, come out and meet Jamie, meet the family, meet some of his staff that don't travel to all the national events. It's really just a get together. We want folks to come and hang out in that booth. Now, Dugout is going to have some special stuff there. I was at the shop last week. They have some rigs on kayaks that have never been seen before. I mean, they're trying to rig out one of the most rigged out pro anglers that I've personally ever seen. And I can't wait for it to be showcased on the floor and when they finally get done with it. But there's going to be quite a few. So if you want to see what an ultimate rig is, you want to see what the folks at the Dugout can do to get your kayak rigged the way you want it, that's the place to come see it. And, Greenville is so close to so many big areas. It's going to be a weekend. You're going to want to come out and be a part of that. Go see other brands. Go see other manufacturers. It's a show. If you've never been to the Classic, you've got to come. It's free to come in. It's a consumer show. You can buy product there. You can buy things. But when you're there, come by the Hobie and Dugout booth. There's gonna be stuff there that you're absolutely going to want to see. As far as like the BOS side, some of the stuff we're gonna have going on in this booth, we're gonna have the orange and black camo Outback that anybody that registers for a Hobie event this season has a chance to win. So that boat's going to be there. It's going to be looking fresh. We're also going to have a BOS announcement at this show. So we look forward to releasing the schedule of the college series at this show. So we are going to have a college series this year, and we are looking forward to announcing that schedule for all of the college anglers and the up-and-coming college anglers that are looking to have a platform to compete while they represent their school. And then we're just going to have giveaways and all sorts of stuff throughout the weekend. But it's just a spot you want to come and hang out. If you're like, man, where are the kayakers going to be at this show? Come by the Dugout and Hobie booth. There'll be a huge Hobie sign hanging over the booth. come by, say hi, meet some folks, get some stickers, maybe get entered for a prize or two, and just enjoy it. And that's really what it's all about.
And there will be giveaways, prize pack giveaways from the Dugout and Seagar on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're working on trying to talk Jamie into having some kind of like contest involved in the booth, be it like cornhole flipping contest, handstand, whatever we can come up with, but something to draw people in and get folks involved. I know I'm going to be at the booth. Steve-O, Christine Fisher's going to be there. Edwin's going to be there, and we want folks to come in, whether you're brand new to the sport or bass boat anglers looking to cross over, or anybody just interested in general. Come by, talk to us, pick our brains about whether it's electronics with Edwin or, how to get to the ramp on time with me, or, or standing on the front deck of a Hobie with Christine. Whatever our talents are, feel free to exploit those.
Exploit them. Should be a good time. The expo, I mean, it is the classic itself, and the expo, it's Super Bowl of fishing. It's the biggest fishing expo in the country every year. I mean, I know there's AAKS, I know there's a lot of other regional shows, but the classic is the one. See guys walking around with 2 hands full of rods. They run all these kind of crazy rod sales. there's no telling what you'll find there, but I can't wait to see what the Dugout pulls off there. I'm still trying to work out getting there, Ryan. We've got some big things happening with
the dog. Is Duke the dog coming, AJ?
I don't know. I don't know the plan for Duke the dog. Boone the dog is going to be in Greenville, but he's not going to make it to the show. He's got somebody taking care of him for a few days.
I got you.
Just a little much for a little puppy.
I feel you. Duke's used to ignoring people, so he'd be fine in the corner.
But yeah, Boone struggles with award ceremonies and sitting still for 5 seconds. So I don't think the classic's ready. He's not ready for the big lights yet.
I think we ought to run him up on the stage there for basses. Let him crash the awards for bass. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we're going to do live interviews with the winner of this year's Bass Nation Bassmaster Championship. Jeff and I are going to grab them, and don't laugh.
You're trying to say the right name.
I don't know.
Bassmaster Classic Nation Championship.
I'm reviewing Terry Elkin's post, and I'm going to put together the name of the champion shortly. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the numbers are down from last year, but at the end of the day, whatever numbers show up for that event, somebody's going to win one of those sweet, half blue trophies, and they're going to get a big check, and they're going to be the second kayak angler to ever win one of these things. And it's definitely another opportunity for our sport to have representation. I'm actually working with a father and son from, I want to say, Spain, that qualified through the Bass Spain or
the European deal. Yeah.
So they're actually the guy that was in second doesn't get to come, and so the guy that was in third gets his spot. And so it's actually this father and son, Miguel and his son, are coming out and working with some local anglers to get them boats, and they're trying to figure out what vehicles to rent and where to stay. And it's kind of, there's some international flavor in this thing too. And these guys, they don't see all the stuff that we see. They don't have KBF, BOS, BASS. They don't have all that. This is everything to those guys, and it's cool that this father and son get to come and do it, and they get to compete on a level that they don't have in their country. And it's pretty awesome to have those guys come in and to feed off their excitement, and they get to kind of experience this, and definitely be rooting for those guys just to have a ball with this thing. I mean, I can't imagine traveling and coming into that scenario and fishing at that level of a tournament your first time in the States. That's pretty awesome opportunity.
Steve Fields keeps talking about this thing called Hobie Worlds that I qualified for a couple of years back. I think it's going to be something similar to that. I keep my fingers crossed on that one. Make sure and bring the father-son duo by the booth, AJ, and introduce them to everybody. It'd be cool to hear their story, and I'd like to interview them and kind of get their take on the whole kayak bass fishing thing in the U.S. here.
Yeah, that's a big deal, man. International travel's never cheap, and it's especially not cheap now. So they're making a big commitment to come over here and fish this event. So that's cool. Hopefully they put on a good show, catch a few.
Yeah, I mean, the Hobie Fishing Worlds has been amazing. It's been going on for over 10 years, and it's evolved over the years in so many ways. And Steve Fields is, just the core of everything that's been. I had a chance to go to Australia in the third year, but I can tell you that I was not fishing for bass in Australia. I was fishing for brim. And just so Steve and I can stay in a good level, I'm not going to badmouth any of my brim fishing or my Australian experience. But that's the challenge at the Worlds, is every year it's a new place and a new species, and only the hometown anglers have had a chance to fish for them before in most scenarios. And these guys are coming into the States where bass is king, and they're making it happen, and I'm rooting for them just because it's kind of like the absolute underdog in this situation, and it doesn't hurt that they're a Hobie guy, and we like Hobie guys do well.
I got you.
Ryan, we got to be rooting for a repeat from the Possum. It's a quick turnaround, but the Possum King is defending his title, man. I mean, it didn't seem like it's been that long ago, and I guess it hasn't been since we're fishing early spring this time, but time to defend, man.
You can't root against Marky, man. He's an outlaw. That's what I like. And if you want to know what winning the championship does for somebody like the Possum King, he rolled up to Toledo Bend with an entire truck bed full of beer. Free beer. So take that, suckers. We're on the come up.
That's it. We got some Dallas Dirty Blonde cases for all.
I got Dallas Blonde in the fridge right now. Shout out to Mark. Good job.
Shout out to Mark. Yeah, that's good. Although after Toledo, he said he was quitting and selling everything. So I'm hoping he shows up at the Bassett.
It's risky. Listen, I watched him catch his first fish on an A-rig, so he has really turned the corner since then. We're doing great.
And they got boat ramps in South Carolina, so he about to make it happen.
I think that was the first on-purpose fish caught off my live scope, was Mark catching a fish off my live scope with an A-rig.
Oh my!
Yeah, so we're growing. We're growing together. It's a community, guys. It's brotherhood.
Each one reach one, Ryan. You're doing it. Proud of you.
I'm not letting him reach me again.
Proud of you, son. Yeah, man. Anything else, AJ? No, we can't let you slide in here without talking about BOS. We got registration coming Friday for the Broken Bow. We expect another sellout or what?
We'll just roll the balls out there and see how they land. It's I think so. It might not go 4 hours like Eufaula did, but we'll see. I think there's a little bit of excitement, especially in the region. There was a lot of new people that did well at Toledo Bend, and when a guy does well, they're sitting there looking at the rest of the schedule, thinking like, all right, let's see how this shapes up. Trying to figure out how they can make it to the championship in Shreveport on Caddo Lake in November. With that $45,000 guarantee to first, $100,000 to the top 10. You start kind of looking at that and you're like, all right, well, I had a top 20 or I had a top 30. If I can just do, a couple more top 30s, then that should put me in. And, people start crunching the numbers and all of that stuff. And, the other part is people had a good time. You have a good time. You want to come out and do it again. And, some people want redemption on Broken Bow, and hopefully it's not freezing cold in May again, like it was the first week of March last year. I'm kind of thinking we need to hire an extra judge for that event because of how many fish people are going to catch. I think it's going to be one of those just like, heaters, like, well over 1,000 fish each day, probably more. I think folks are going to catch a lot of fish. There's probably going to be some good ones turned in. And then there's going to be people having a good time. It's a fun place to get out. The place is built for going out and having a good time. And it's there's a lot of cabins, a lot of lodging. Get your friends together. Pack as many people in a house as you can. Keep the cost low. Come out and have a big time. And I think that's what we're going to start seeing these events. Yes, Steve. Yes, Steve always gives me a weather report from the boat. It's always colder out there, but he always toughs it out no matter what the conditions are. And I think that's the thing is I think people are going to get into it, and we're going to work on getting the published waiting list for Eufaula and Santee Cooper. Eufaula's got less than 10 on the waiting list. I've already worked down 2. So if you were thinking about Eufaula, go ahead and shoot Hobie an email. And then we've also got the Santee Cooper list, which is running plus 50 right now. So there's going to be some folks with their feelings hurt on that one. But you can always roll in, fish the Queen City event on Saturday. They pay out great. They're going to have a ton of people in their event. So if you're looking to come to Santee Cooper, have a fun time with kayak anglers, you've got that event that's going to be on the Saturday of the BOS event. So there's options if you're on the waiting list, and if you put yourself there, then if your name gets called, you can just say, yep, and you're paid and you're good to go. The final thing I'll say before I jump off of here is judging is not always the easiest thing. It can be a little bit challenging looking at all those fish, making the judgments and stuff like that. The judges make their call. The anglers have the opportunity when those fish are judged to see what that is if they want to question their judge. The feature in Tourney X that we love is Manage Catch. I'm not sure about the other apps, but Manage Catch is one of those things you can go in and look at what your fish was scored and if it's been scored. If you don't like the ruling that you got, reach out to your tournament director. If they haven't already reached out to you, and they're going to explain it, or maybe they were wrong and they'll see your side of it and give you the proper score. And it's one of the other sides of this sport that makes it unique. Everyone's like, hey, let's have 250, let's have 300. Well, it's not just about that. It's not just about a number on a page. It's about how you can judge in a timely manner and communicate with your anglers to make sure that they're taken care of and their fish count in the way that they're meant to be. So, appreciate everybody, working through that in Toledo with us. Toledo was a great time, but also just, have some respect for your judges. And if you disagree, just politely tell them, and maybe they'll see it your way moving forward.
Coming in on you, was that you, Ryan, or AJ?
I guess, man. I don't know. No, that's me.
But if that sound is where I live right now, Ryan's been out to where I live. I'll be scared. I don't know what's going on. I'll be grabbing my computer and running. They
found you.
Bust. That's a net bust out there, AJ. You're fine.
All right, man. Well, AJ, man, thank you for taking time tonight to break down what you guys have going with the Classic and a little BOS talk, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, big shout out to the All American guys coming on next. Love to see what they're doing to give so many more folks national opportunities. Hope to see their events get filled up. I know those guys come from a similar background as Jeff and I, where we've run tournaments or we fished tournaments before we've run them. They have a really good perspective. They're out there doing it for you guys, sacrificing their time on the water for more anglers to get on the water. So glad you guys are bringing them on, and look forward to seeing what their season consists of. They got some awesome fisheries on their schedule.
All right, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. Everybody,
appreciate you guys.
Come see us at the Classic booth. We're going to do it. Nope. No, sir.
See you guys at the Classic in Greenville. Thank you all.
Yes, sir. All right. Let's see if we can slide. Josh. What's up, Josh?
What's going on, guys?
All right, man. Thanks for hanging on for a little bit. We got to talking to AJ there. We ran a little bit long, but that good information. Good information.
Yeah, that's right. So
is Tyler coming in with us tonight, or is this going to be a one-man operation? I know he thought he had to work.
I think we're going to miss out on TC tonight.
That's all right.
We've seen him before. It's fine. Pass.
We've seen him. I don't know if we can handle the Iowa accent tonight. Yeah, man. Well, hey.
Tell us what you got coming, man. I mean, you guys are getting ramped up for your 2022 season here. What's this first event looking like, and where do you see it going from this one?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to get this season started. We're trying something new. We've gone to the 2-day format. This is basically our first year trying this, so curious to see where it goes. Hopefully we can establish ourselves and show people that we can put on a good event. I'm not going to sit here and say that we're the best ever. I'm just going to put on tournaments and let guys make their own decisions. So I think after a couple of events, people will start to see that, we don't have no bullshit. We're just a good old fun series. It's fun to fish on a national level, but a local small time club level field, so that's kind of what we're going for. We're getting ready to kick off on Lake Palestine in Texas. So that's coming up this Saturday, even though the weather's not going to cooperate again.
Never does, buddy. Never does.
Texas in February has been brutal this year for everybody.
If you ever want a cold front, schedule a tournament. That's all you got to do. Schedule a tournament.
Yeah. Yep. If it's not a cold front, it'll be rain or storms later on in the spring. Yeah, man, you're kicking off this weekend, and I looked at your list of registrants already. It's impressive on how many people are traveling to Texas. I mean, everybody on that list almost is not from there. But where are all the Texas anglers at? Are they holding out on you? Are they procrastinating? What's going on with those Texas anglers?
I think they're scared of these northern guys coming down.
Woo!
Yeah.
There we go.
No, I think really what's going on. I mean, I was looking at today. We've got like 10 different states coming. You know,
Yeah.
anglers across all the Midwest are coming. So that's a pretty good core of guys that are going to get this thing kicked off. And I think the Texas guys are just kind of waiting to see what the weather's going to do. I don't have a registration deadline on it. You know, basically when the tournament starts, that's a deadline. So we try to be as angler friendly as possible. So that's actually a double-edged sword because it makes people sign up at the very last minute. So
Yep.
I think some of them Texas guys are just waiting until the very last minute to sign up. But, you know, there's also the factor it's going to be kind of rough because everything just kicked off in February. And everybody was down there in Texas, you know, the Bassmaster event, the Hobie event. And so guys kind of had to pick and choose. We're kind of like the fourth odd man out on the totem pole. So guys, Hobie has definitely set themselves up as the premier series of the entire nation. I mean, everybody wants to fish the BOS series. So everybody signed up for that. And then I think the Bassmaster still has its appeal. So then, you know, people can only afford to fish so many tournaments on the road in Texas in February. So I kind of think that's a factor as well.
I think this season, the door is wide open for second place. Like there's plenty of room for whoever wants to put forth the effort to move into second place.
Somebody made it real easy. I don't know why they did it, but someone just made it real easy for someone to step in and fill that void.
I would love to see. I mean, you guys, I think what you said earlier, a national level trail, but with the small club feel. I definitely think there is a place for that. I do. I think Hobie's done a great job growing themselves and putting themselves in the corporate spotlight or whatever, but they're still a kayak company. They're a brand. That's part of their marketing deal is running this series. I think there's plenty of room for somebody to come in and treat the anglers right and put on a great series. And I can definitely see, you guys filling that void.
That's our plan. I mean, we got a lot of great lakes here in the Midwest. We kind of spread our wings a little bit this year and, went to Kentucky Lake and down into Texas. We've kind of been more centralized before now, but we've had a lot of positive feedback from anglers from, the Indiana, Kentucky area and Tennessee that are wanting to get a little more involved. And then, Texas ain't really that far. I live on southern Missouri. It's only like 5 hours for me to go down, to fish the Lake Fork or something. It's not that far. So we're just trying to build a series right here in this area so guys don't have to travel to the East Coast or to Florida all the time, which can be a long journey, especially for those guys that live up north.
And people keep calling it the first year, and I've heard it earlier this year, calling it a Midwest series. But you guys are as national a series as anybody else. I mean, you're talking about Michigan all the way down to Texas. You may not go all the way out east or all the way out west, but you're running a national schedule, wouldn't you say, Josh?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. We're just trying not to step on anybody's toes and stay in an area where there's a void, where guys have a need for tournaments,
I think that Central U.S. is a good – obviously Hobie has a Texas and a Broken Bow deal on the list, but predominantly speaking, if you focus in on that Central U.S. market, it's fairly wide open because, like you said, not a lot of guys are going to drive from West Texas or North Texas over to South Carolina or Pennsylvania. That's when you're asking anglers to drive 15, 20 hours, like that's a haul and is your ROI worth it at that point? I think y'all are in a pretty good spot. And talking about this, tell people that aren't familiar with your series what the entries and what the payouts like.
I think we do pretty good on payouts for not having any big sponsorship support. All the entry fee money gets turned right around and paid back out. I'm pretty sure we're right around an 80% payout total after fees and everything. So entry fee is $175. And that includes the big bass pot. We've kind of merged the big bass pot into the entry fee this year so that, for one, it's easier as a tournament director not to have to go through and figure out who's in the big bass pot before you award the big bass winner. Now, and also as an angler going into a tournament, what the big bass pot's going to pay out. based on how many people are signed up in the tournament. So I think it was a win-win situation to go ahead and include that big bass in the entry fee. So it's a 2-day tournament, $175 entry fee. That's not too bad, I don't think.
No. I mean, I feel like that's on par with the other national trails. Like you're right up there. Obviously, Hobie bumped theirs up a little bit this year, but I mean, I think that 175 to 225 is kind of the sweet spot for most folks that are willing to jump in the car and do this stuff.
Yeah, and I think, I'm hopeful if we can just average, if we get like 50 guys at a tournament, that's going to be a pretty good payout still. I mean, it's going to be a couple grand for first place. At least going to cover your gas money. We get up to that 100, level, we're going to be paying $5,000 to first place. When we get up to that higher level, we'll be paying out as good as other series are. Just got to get the numbers. We got to show ourselves and prove ourselves. I'm willing to do the work.
Yeah. Let's talk about this for a minute, because we talked about the void there, and there's other trails obviously that are trying to compete with each other. But the one thing that seems to break down the trail, whether it's local, regional, national, whatever it is when you break trust with the anglers. So you guys are so new to this. How are you building trust to say, hey, you should trust us to come out and fish our schedule and throw your entry fee money our way, use your PTO for us? How are you guys building trust with this anglers, the group of anglers that has so many choices these days?
I think we did a good job when we put on the All American Classic and we got all these clubs to come back together like the old school TOC used to be. That got us all, mainly the Midwest tournament directors. We're a pretty tight-knit group of guys. We help each other out. We work together. So it all just fell together. I mean, it's like a big wave I've been riding, man, and I'm just keeping on surfing. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm just going to keep riding it, man. That's crazy. It just, everything seems to be falling in place.
Where do you see this going in your head? I mean, if we had to look 3 years from now, where do you want the All American to fall in the grand scheme of things?
I would like to see us be the best series in the Midwest for guys in this area to fish and compete in. Kind of replace that void that has been left here in this area when KBF left, and Bassmaster seems to completely ignore it too. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but I mean, we've got some great lakes and we got a bunch of anglers here. Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. You combine those 3 states right there, and you've got massive numbers for tournaments. And kind of like what you mentioned earlier, guys from Texas aren't going to want to drive 12 hours up north to go fish when they've got everything they need down there. But guys will go east and west. So that's kind of our thinking. Missouri guys can go into Oklahoma and Kentucky and Tennessee and Kentucky can come into Missouri. We've got a really good core base of anglers right here in the central part of the United States, which I think is going to help us have bigger numbers and grow and be one of the top 4 trails in the country, really.
Man, for relatively small states, overall population wise, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, even Tennessee, we put out some numbers with anglers. I mean, showing up to tournaments, no doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure. My Moyak series in Missouri, we averaged almost 100 anglers last year per live tournament and had 111 at Table Rock. And we're going back to Table Rock this year and doubling down with Moyak and the All American, and NSKA is coming up too. So the Table Rock event in April I expect it to be huge. I think we'll hit 150 people. We may even hit 200. Who knows? It's once guys get going. I think after Kentucky Lake, we'll really start rolling.
You can take the
That's
spillover.
What I was going to ask is which one you felt like was going to be your biggest event on the schedule if you had to pick one. Is that your pick? Is Table Rock?
I would say Table Rock is probably going to be really big, but our event at La Crosse is going to be big too. So it's kind of tough to choose between our 3-day event at La Crosse and then Table Rock. I think they'll both be really big.
Table Rock's a destination place because it's got the housing, and Branson's a tourist town anyway. Kimberly City, they do a great job of hosting anglers up there, and it's just a great place for kayak anglers to fish with so many access points, so many creek arms. It'll be a good one. And it's the same weekend as the BOS Eufaula, which is in a different part of the country. So all those on the waiting list from Eufaula, just head on over to Table Rock. You got no choice.
There you go. We'll take the sloppy seconds.
There you go.
No, I really think it'll be a good time on Table Rock. It's a big lake too. I mean, guys can really spread out. It's a monster lake with tons of access points. You can find just about any type of conditions you want to fish, whether it be rock, timber, flats, bluffs. It's all there, clear water. And it's got cell service. That's a big deal too. There's cell service almost everywhere on the lake. So that's,
you could do like live coverage or something. You could do live feeds from anglers' boats.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're really trying to incorporate that into our tournaments this year, where we can get live feeds going with the anglers out on the water. But the thing is, like you said, you've got to have good signal and service to be able to do something like that, which not a lot of lakes have.
I'm trying to get Jeff to send me some sponsorship money. I'm gonna buy a signal booster and get the Phoenix out and start doing some live coverage. I think he invested it in the hair products or something for Miss Ashley K, but I'm not sure.
No, I'm trying to regrow mine. It's coming one plug at a time. Oh, man. If you have any questions for Josh while we got him, throw them in the comments and we will throw them on the screen. Some stuff from YouTube. Tim Percy saying they're going to want to drive to St. Clair for those amazing smallies. That is a destination or a bucket list for a lot of people. I've never been up there.
That's a bucket list for me personally, man. I want to fish St. Clair. I want to fish St. Clair with Tim Percy and Rich. Like that's not even for a tournament. That's just a personal abuse of my liver. I want to get out with those two guys and chase smallies and muskie. But I feel like if you had to ask anglers from around the country their top 10 destination lakes, I think St. Clair for smallmouth would have to be in most people's top 10 list for sure.
Yeah.
Whenever we started, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Josh.
Whenever we were putting together this schedule, one of the things we did was we reached out to a lot of the locals around these lakes and got their opinions on what's the best time to fish here. Is this worthy? We reached out and really did a lot of research. We just didn't pick out these lakes because we'd seen some cool YouTube videos. And so, from what we were told, being up there at St. Clair in June is just, that's a bucket list destination time. And that's really something we're trying to do with our schedule each year. We're trying to time these lakes just right to where guys can be on these lakes and really succeed. We want everybody to succeed, and have fun.
I was curious what some of the if off the top of your head, some of the rule differences between All American. We just talked about that before we came on. How there's a subtle difference between each trail. Are there any subtle differences from the All American Series folks should be aware of from the BOS or Bassmaster, KBF, whatever?
Not much. I would say, we require catch boards only, but I think everybody's kind of switching over to that standard. I would say the one thing that makes us maybe stand apart would be we don't have an out of bounds fishing rule per se. We've got a out of bounds map that we post up, which is usually like the Corps of Engineers definition of the lake boundaries. If you launch within bounds, you can go anywhere you want, anywhere you can paddle to, float to. As long as you don't portage over dry land, you can go as far up a creek as you want. If you're Drew Gregory and you want to go 60 miles up this creek, go for it.
I was just about to give him a shout out on that one as soon as you said that.
I love fishing creeks too, and I have that same mentality. And as kayak fishermen, that's what we do. We try to get to places where no one else can go. And when you find that virgin water that a boat can't get to, that's when you usually slay them. So I'm not going to put boundaries up to where people can't go past this bridge or past this line on a map. It just gets complicated to enforce, and it inhibits the anglers. We don't want to hold the anglers back. Let them go. Just go fish anywhere you can get to. So I think that's one of the things that's kind of separated us from the other series is we're not trying to limit the anglers on where they can fish.
All American loves virgin water. That's what I learned.
That's it, man. So, the Alabama boys would love this series, wouldn't they? Is it Alabama or Georgia? Which one is
it? Alabama. They're them creek boys, son. They get dirty on them creeks. Don't ever post the name of one. They'll run you out of the whole state.
And Josh, you guys allow motors too, right? So you guys can get up creeks a little easier. You don't have to just paddle your way up there.
Yeah, we allow motors, and it's even in discussion for next year to allow the 2 motors.
Ooh,
that's been a hot debate. Yeah, my personal opinion on it is why not? If someone wants a spot lock on the front and a torpedo on the back to get into their spot, that doesn't hurt anything. Well,
what if I want two 1103s off the bag and I'm out there running 90?
You're probably going to flip and die.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have fun doing it.
Them kayaks can probably only go so fast before you're going to lose it. But
yeah,
like I said, we're talking about it.
in.
There's a debate to be made for both sides of that. I can see both sides for sure.
Wow.
That's
Just imagine the battery setups. Can you imagine?
I think that's probably the point. The limiting factor there is weight capacity. Like how much shit can you pile on a kayak before it's no longer a seaworthy vessel?
I know it is getting a little crazy, especially with the live scope and all this other tech you can put on there. It's getting nuts.
Yeah, you throw a couple motors and a couple fish finders on there, and you are going to be sitting pretty low, I would say.
I reckon that'll eliminate the guys going up the creek if you have all that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
You're going to have to strip. You want to go up creek, you're going to have to strip down.
Me and Mark, we don't care. We'll get up in there and beat them up awesome. A little bit.
That was awesome. Yeah, I mean, do you guys regulate? If you go that way, Josh, do you think you'll look at trying to police like manufacturer recommendations for what should be allowed on that boat, like weight capacities, what pound, how powerful a motor? Or are you just going to be like, hey, y'all send it, whatever you can figure out?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what makes this whole situation a mess is how do you regulate it? How do you make it safe? How do you make it fair? That's a pain in the ass to figure out. I'll be honest with you. I don't have those answers yet, but we are considering it.
It'd be wild. That'd be a true, I don't want to use the word game changer, but it'd be a real separator from one series to the other if you guys allowed two motors.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of on that subject, though, as far as regulations and whatnot, this is something that came up in our CAST Tennessee like directors page or whatever. At what point do you start like checking boats like before or after tournaments, especially with motors and registration and output? What's legally allowed on each hull. I know there was a deal when the 1103 came out. Hobie re-rated its hull or whatever for to basically be able to accommodate that output of a motor. Where do we draw the line? Like what's enough and what's too much on this deal? Like, is a tournament director going to go through a field of 200 and check every boat?
I think that's something that's going to be coming up in the future of this sport. We're probably getting to that point where something like this is going to happen unless we start putting limitations on everything. I mean, it wasn't but just a couple of years ago, we were just 20, 30 guys meeting at a boat ramp, handing out SD cards, and paying out in cash. This sport has grown so quickly that I feel like we've got a lot of rules that are outdated that don't really matter at this point in time for the way the technology's changed. And, like we've even discussed identifier cards. Attorney X puts a GPS location and tag on every photo. Why do you need an identifier card?
Right.
Just to see who loses it. Just to see who can keep up with their card and who can't.
I mean, I can see that being part of the future of the sport too, where we go away from identifier cards altogether as well. I think there's some changes coming, and it's going to make it harder for tournament directors for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. Argument we had here locally is, kayak anglers, it's a DIY sport. So, you figure out how to rig different things on your boat. And when you start talking about motors, you go out we allow them here locally now in our tournament. And you've got folks with the most expensive, stern mount motor, store-bought motor, whether it's Newport, Torqeedo, whatever, and all this fancy stuff. But you also have guys with like a 2x4 and a $90 Minn Kota on both sides of the boat with a lead-acid battery in the back, and the boat looks like it's going to flip. So, I mean, do you just say, hey, God bless you, you signed the waiver, good luck to you? I mean, that's a real thing that's coming down the pipe we're going to have to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. That is definitely not something that I want to deal with for sure, because you really do. You have to either just say you're on your own, make your own decisions, you're an adult, or you have to say, no, that's not safe. You can't compete like this, and you're going to have to set limitations and standards on what guys can fish out of. And on that same point too, I want to bring up that maybe people that are new to the sport, they may be intimidated by the fact that, oh, these guys are running an 1103 Torqeedo and, Panoptics and all that stuff. You don't need it. You don't need that to be successful on the water in a kayak tournament. It helps. It's a good tool to have. But, for an example, for Moyak, our Angler of the Year last year, like I said, we averaged nearly 100 anglers over a 7 tournament series, our angler of the year was in a sit-in kayak with no electronics. And we got guys that are in $5,000 rigged up, you know, PA-14s with torpedoes and, you know, the best of the best equipment, and still getting whooped by a guy in a sit-in kayak. So you don't need that tech to be successful.
Well, look at the BOS Series Angler of the Year the last 2 years. You know, it was Drew Gregory, and then it was the mullet from Knoxville, Jordan Marshall. Jordan Marshall can't turn on a damn fish finder. Like, I mean, honestly, those river guys up there, Eric Thomason, another one, you know, he and I spent a couple hours on the phone yesterday, but you don't have to have a fish finder to be successful. Is it a tool? Yeah. I mean, Rolando showed us exactly how a tool like that can be used, because, I mean, and he'll tell you straight up that he won it on live scope. But that's a thing, like, you know, it's not a necessity, but when those fish are positioned, you know, suspended offshore, that can use a tournament. You still have to know how to use it. There's a lot of skill that goes into it. Anyone that's messed with a live scope, you got to figure out where your cone is. You have to have your settings dialed in to where you can make out the fish, and then you have to be able to see your lure. You know, you have to cast within that little space to even be able to utilize that technology. That's a whole nother skill in itself. It's not like you paid that money and you got that advantage. Now, motors being able to cover water is an advantage, but if you're covering water and you don't know what the hell you're looking at, all you're doing is being dumb on more water than you were when you were paddling. So, you know, like you said, I think the skill set, your skill set has to broaden to be able to utilize those tools. I don't think a bad angler can spend more money and win.
No. I went fishing this morning. I was off today because I work for the government. Thank you, President's Day. I went fishing for a few hours, and I got in behind a bass boat ahead of me. They had obviously had live scope, 2 guys on the front deck. Their necks were down the whole time. I caught 4 fish behind them going down some riprap while they were busy staring at that thing for 45 minutes and never caught a fish, you know, just kind of doing laps. And they may have just got it. Maybe they're learning how to use it. But just having that, obviously, and just turning it on is not magic. You still got to know what you're doing and how to find fish. I think Luke Arian said it on one of the comments on KBN one time. He said, "You'll just be someone that can't catch them, but $2,000 poorer. That's all you'll be if you don't know what you're dealing with." Let's pivot to the championship for a minute, Josh. I think that the All American Classic kind of gets it's kind of underrated still nationally. I know people see the big checks that people have won there the last couple of years, but just like the old TOC, it kind of flew under the radar while it existed.
Yeah.
I think the All-American's still kind of getting there, although, you know, word's getting around a little bit. People see those big numbers. Tell us a little bit about this year, or there won't be one this year. We're building for 2023, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's correct. We decided to move the Classic out of October because of all the other championships, and right there with the, you know, KBF decided to keep the national championship in October. Then we got the Hobie TOCs right there at the beginning of November. So we just decided it was just too crowded in October. You know, we didn't want to limit guys and make them have to choose big events to travel to. So we moved it to spring, and that's actually a better time to be on Truman Lake anyway. We'll be there right during the spawn. It should be prime time, and we'll have the lake to ourselves. This year we're going to do an open qualifier. So on April 29th and 30th, the 29th and 30th, anyone is welcome to come compete. No memberships, just everyone's can come compete. We're still going to do some big cash payouts. We're going to give away a ton of product and free raffles. And the top 50% of the field will qualify for the 2023 Classic. Awesome. So that's a way you can boost your club's numbers, because this, you know, it's an individual tournament, but the club versus club aspect is very strong. And to win the club title is kind of a big deal, and guys take it seriously. So you want as many people from your club representing as possible, because we're only going to take the best 5 guys from your club, and we're going to combine those scores for your club score. That's
total. What I was going to ask. How many out of a club? That was so. The way we do it in Tennessee is like, I think we're up to like the top 8 now or something out of each club qualifies to fish state. So for this tournament, it can be as many as you want from that club, but you only take the top certain amount of scores.
That's right. If you've got 40 guys from your club there, we're only going to take the top 5 scores. Last year we did the top 3. We felt that kind of limited it. Because you know, some clubs couldn't even get 5 guys there, but We're gonna go top 5 this year for the club versus club award. There's gonna be some money payout for the club this year award too. So
that's fun. I like that better than the
year.
Yeah, I like that better than the kind of made up. I hate to say made up teams, but put your own team together for a tournament. I like the local club versus local club feel. That's cool. There's a question going in the comments. I don't know if you saw it, Ryan, about polygraphs. Dylan threw it.
Anything, so,
my bad. Dylan threw it in there. Polygraphs at every event, all caps he put it. And that, I think he said that, and there's other people that have said that, because at every event, even this latest at Toledo, at Fork, at whatever event it is, there are always rumors and grumblings of, even if it's not cheating, somebody pushing the line a little too far or getting out of bounds a little bit. So they're calling for polygraphs.
Agreed completely. I think we're at the level when you're fishing for $10,000 at each tournament, there's not an excuse not to have the top, like Dylan said. So the top 3 and then another random person, at least you need to have at least 2 or 3 out of the top 10. The big check cashing people have to take a polygraph on this stuff just to deter any kind of bullshittery. Like there's always, like you said, there's always something going on. Were they out of bounds fishing? Were they communicating with a guide? Whatever it may be, there's a lot that could go on and that has gone on that I feel like if you look at the growth of the sport, that's one thing that hurts us. Another thing that hurts us is probably the judging part that we just saw earlier today. Like you can't just pick apart everything forever. Like that's the transparency of the sport is an issue, but I think the legitimacy on not having that polygraph, kind of safety net on it is another thing that keeps these big sponsors from investing, because that is a hole that they see from the bass boat tournaments that have these polygraphs in place, not only in the big name events, but also in like the larger local trails to the southeast or whatever. They all have polygraphs. That should be a standard, because there's a lot that goes on, that's under the radar. It keeps a lot of bass boat guys from crossing over and fishing with us.
Do you guys do them, Josh? Do you guys have that ability?
Not yet. We want to. I feel like it's like what Lunch Money just said. It's probably part of the future of the sport. I mean, we've grown to that level now to where we got to hold people accountable, and we got to make sure that they're being honest. I haven't really had much of an issue with that in the series. We've got some great guys, but I know with growth, you get those jerkwads that come in there and mess everything up. So I believe, I think we need to find a way to start getting polygraphs at each event. But right now, as far as the All American Series go, it's just not in our budget. That costs money, and without sponsorship support, we just can't do it. If we could, I would.
I'm gonna hook you up. Here's an idea, man. So you're talking about using 2 motors. Maybe next year you get one of those motor companies to sponsor, and the polygraph brought to you by Minn Kota or whoever it may be.
There you go.
There you go.
Brilliant.
That's a suggestion I made. Like like these like Engel coolers, for instance, like the Cold Hard Truth. Like have them pay for the polygraph guy to come in, and that's extra exposure for Engel coolers. But when one of these dudes gets busted cheating, then the Cold Hard Truth is everywhere. Like it just busted. Like you got those little magazines you buy at the gas station that when all your homies get pulled over for a DUI, their pictures in it. You got the Cold Hard Truth of Engel cooler busted cheaters out there, and
that's a good slogan, man.
Advertising.
Yeah, see,
they should sign you up, man. That's a great idea.
Yeah, Ryan over here giving it away for free, baby. Giving away that marketing.
One day, baby, I'm gonna make a living at this shit. Y'all just sit tight. No more
amazing.
hotel rooms for me. I'll have a cabin.
Yeah. One more. We're not going to keep Josh very much longer. We're getting up against the hour. But Chris Marks over on YouTube, does All American allow closed communication during an event unless an emergency? And he's probably referring to electronic communication. I think every tournament allows you to talk to the guy that's fishing next to you or passing by. But what about electronic communication, Josh? Do you guys allow that?
No, it's basically just like everybody else. If it's an emergency, you can call home, of course. You can talk to other anglers out on the water, but you can't call your buddy that's on the other side of the lake and ask him how it's going and then go. But again, this is another rule that's really freaking hard to enforce. How are you going to know what people are talking about on their phone or what they're texting each other? But No, anglers are not supposed to communicate about tournament information electronically during the tournament. They can do it verbally, but not electronically. But
Good.
again, you're just leaving it up to the angler's integrity on that one.
Yeah, I know that's a fine line when you start finding rules that make it where you have to over police everything, and it's hard to police. So yeah, I get that. But this is a sport of honor. We're supposed to all be good sports here and hold up to the honor system, but some people just seem to always want to push that envelope. So we got to have some, as Ryan put it, some deterrents, whatever those may be. The cold hard truth deterrent.
Yeah, by angle coolers.
Yeah, my angle coolers. Western Sun Truth Serum. They're just flying out.
Oh, there you go. Hey, be careful with that one. Don't overserve yourself.
Yeah. You'll be lying and not even know it. Yeah.
You'll be lying in the floor and not even know it.
Yeah. For real. Anything else from anybody? Josh, you got anything else you want to drop for anybody that's coming to Texas?
Man, I know the travel conditions are probably going to suck, but it's not going to be too bad during the weekend. And from what I've heard, them fish are pretty post-frontal. They like it once it moves out. So the front's going to be gone by the time the tournament starts. And maybe we'll time it right, and those girls will be up on the beds. That was the plan all along, but I think we're about a week too early, but maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, man. You guys are doing big things, man. It's impressive. I know we did a poll on KBN, I don't know, a couple months ago where we stacked up all the series and who's fishing what, put it on a poll, and All American surprisingly was right there. I mean, up there in the second place spot. Wow. You guys got a ton of votes. So doing good things, man. Reputation is spreading. So hopefully your numbers reflect that as the season goes on.
The door's wide open. Knock it out of the park this year, and I think you guys, have a great shot at cementing that second place on the national scene for sure.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your guys' support on that too as we try to do that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Lambert, you about to head out the door? Get another engagement?
I'm about to jump in that bed and go to sleep. I got a meeting in the morning.
All right. Well, hey, we'll try to track down, I guess, I always want to say the name wrong. We'll just say the first All American Series winner next week. I always want to say Palestine, like we're in the Middle East or something, but it's Palestine.
Palestine. Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I get it backwards. I don't know. But yeah, we'll track down the winner of that and try to get him on here next week and talk about the event some more. But man, Josh, we appreciate you tonight, buddy.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Good luck, Josh.
Thanks.